90 minutes inside Iranian airspace, everything felt controlled, predictable, almost routine. 6 F-35Is sliced through the darkness with their radars turned off, trusting silent data fed from far away. That's how stealth missions work. You don't announce your presence, you ghost through it. But then, without warning, the silence broke. A signal appeared on the pilot's display, sharp, unmistakable, a fire control lock. Not search, not tracking, a lock. The kind that means someone isn't just watching you, they're about to fire. The system identified it instantly. Tor-M1, a short-range air defense system designed to stay invisible until the last possible moment. And that's exactly what made it dangerous. It hadn't just found them by chance, it had been waiting. Positioned near something Iran couldn't afford to lose, fed by early warning data long before the jets ever arrived. Which meant one thing the pilot didn't want to admit. They hadn't slipped in unnoticed. Someone, somewhere, already knew they were coming. And the moment that realization hit, the mission stopped being routine. The numbers started running in his head instantly, whether he wanted them to or not. Distance, speed, reaction time. The Tor's missile could cover its kill range in seconds, pulling forces no human pilot could survive trying to match. And the worst part? He still had to get closer. His target required him to push inside a range that overlapped dangerously with the system's engagement zone. That meant he wasn't escaping the threat, he was flying directly into it. Electronic warfare kicked in automatically, flooding the air with interference, trying to blind the radar. But this wasn't an outdated system. The Tor didn't sit on one frequency. It jumped constantly, switching faster than the jet could effectively block. Every attempt to jam it was already outdated the moment it began. The lock tightened. The warning tone changed. This wasn't a maybe anymore. This was happening. The pilot pulled hard, forcing the aircraft into a brutal turn, pushing his body to its limit. The sky blurred, altitude dropped fast, and for a moment, the lock disappeared. But escaping that missile threat came at a cost, because the move had just dragged him somewhere even more dangerous.
American accent. Breaking the lock should have felt like relief, but it didn't, because now he was too low, far too low. Below him sat another layer of defense, shoulder-fired missiles, the kind designed to hunt aircraft that dipped just a little too close to the ground. And these weren't simple heat seekers anymore. Modern systems didn't just chase one signal, they verified it. 2 separate infrared checks before committing. That meant traditional countermeasures like flares weren't reliable anymore. One sensor might get fooled, but the second one wouldn't. It was like trying to lie when the truth was already confirmed somewhere else. And now he was sitting right inside their reach. The only real protection against those weapons was altitude. Stay high enough and they physically couldn't hit you, but he had just sacrificed that safety to survive the Tor. 2 threats, opposite solutions. Climb and the radar system gets another chance to lock. Stay low and the missiles below take their shot. There was no safe option left, just a decision. And whatever he chose, something was going to try to kill him.
He chose to climb. Not slowly, not cautiously, aggressively. Engines pushing hard, altitude rising fast, gambling on the idea that the radar operator needed time to reacquire. Seconds, that's all he needed. As the aircraft climbed back into safer territory, he rolled into position and committed to the strike. There was no second pass, no adjustment. This had to work. The bomb release sequence started, and for a brief moment, everything changed. The weapon bay opened, and with it, the aircraft's greatest advantage disappeared. Stealth relies on shape, on keeping everything hidden, but opening those doors was like lighting a match in total darkness. For a few seconds, the aircraft's signature expanded dramatically. Anyone watching would see it, and someone was watching. The radar picked it up, clear, strong, undeniable, a perfect target. But locking onto a moving object requires continuous tracking, and those seconds ran out just before the system could complete the solution. The doors closed, the signature vanished, and just like that, the opportunity slipped away. The missile was never launched, but it came closer than anyone would ever be comfortable admitting.
The bomb was already gone, dropping fast toward a target that most people wouldn't even recognize as critical. Months earlier, a similar strike had hit mixing equipment, important but replaceable, and Iran had proven exactly that. They rebuilt faster than expected, restoring production in a fraction of the predicted time. So this mission wasn't about repeating the same mistake. This time, the focus shifted to something deeper in the process, something far harder to recover. The casting facility, the place where rocket motors are formed, where materials are shaped and cured under precise conditions. Destroying it isn't just damaging equipment, it's wiping out infrastructure that takes far longer to rebuild. And unlike mixers, you can't just import a replacement overnight. When the bomb hit, it didn't just explode, it collapsed the core of that system. Structures caved inward, critical components were destroyed instantly. Months of work erased in seconds. And more importantly, the ability to produce at scale was gone. This wasn't about slowing production anymore, it was about stopping it entirely.
But as the strike unfolded, something else became clear. This entire mission had never been invisible, not completely. A different kind of radar had been active the entire time, one that didn't behave like traditional systems. Instead of focusing narrowly, it spread wide, using longer wavelengths that interacted differently with stealth designs. It didn't provide precise targeting, but it didn't need to. It simply told operators where to look, direction, altitude, movement, enough to cue other systems into position. That's how the Tor had known where to search. And it meant something even more concerning. If one formation had been tracked like this, others could be too. Somewhere deeper inside the country, another group of aircraft was already committed to their own mission, and now the advantage they thought they had might not exist at all. That second formation was flying deeper than any previous strike, pushing into areas that hadn't been heavily targeted before. The distance alone made it risky. Fuel margins were tight, leaving no room for delays or unexpected maneuvers. Every decision had to be precise. And then, new signals appeared. Short bursts, just seconds long, enough to identify a system, but not enough to target it. A mobile air defense platform designed to avoid exactly the kind of suppression tactics that had destroyed others before it. It would activate briefly, gather data, then move before anything could respond. By the time a countermeasure arrived, it would be gone. It was a simple idea, but incredibly effective. And worse, it didn't need to stay active long to do its job. Just a few seconds of data, and suddenly the formation wasn't invisible anymore. They had been seen, and there was nothing they could do about it.
Then came something even more unpredictable. A fighter aircraft approaching silently without using radar, hunting the old-fashioned way, passively, using heat signatures instead of signals. That made it dangerous in a completely different way because you can't detect what isn't transmitting. The pilot inside that aircraft didn't need a perfect lock, he just needed a moment, a glimpse of heat, a brief exposure, anything that revealed where to aim, and the formation knew it. Engaging him meant revealing themselves to everything else in the area. Ignoring him meant letting him get closer. It was another impossible choice. So they chose to stay hidden, positioning carefully, minimizing their thermal footprint, turning the aircraft in ways that reduced visibility, watching him while he searched for them. And somehow, he never found what he was looking for. The hunter passed through the dark, unaware that he had been watched the entire time.
By the time they reached their objective, the situation shifted again. The target area was bigger than expected, expanded, reinforced, more critical points than the mission had accounted for, and not enough weapons to hit them all. That changed everything. Now it wasn't just about executing a plan, it was about choosing what to leave behind. Real-time decisions had to be made, priorities shifted instantly. The most critical structures were identified, the ones that couldn't be easily replaced. Data updated mid-flight, targets reassigned, every second counting down as fuel levels dropped. There was no time to hesitate. The weapons released, each one guided toward carefully selected points. Not everything would be destroyed, but enough would be. Enough to make the entire facility struggle to recover. And as the aircraft turned back toward home, one thing was clear. This mission hadn't just been difficult, it had been balanced on the edge from start to finish. In the end, it wasn't just about what was destroyed, it was about what couldn't be rebuilt quickly. Facilities reduced to rubble, processes disrupted, timelines pushed back indefinitely. But the bigger story wasn't just the damage, it was what this mission revealed. Stealth isn't perfect. It can be tracked, predicted, countered in ways that don't rely on direct detection. And yet, even in that environment, the operation succeeded. Not because the aircraft were invisible, but because the decisions made under pressure were better, faster, and more precise. Every second mattered, every move carried risk, and somehow it all held together long enough to complete the mission. Because in modern warfare, it's not about being unseen, it's about staying one step ahead.